growing up with Pedro. Raymond is the biggest reason I have gotten where I am. He is the great one in this family. I am still Raymond's little brother. Growing up with Pedro.
The Dominican Republic, 1981. One sunny day in the village of Minogallobo, Pedro Martinez sits in the shade and watches the older boys play. He wants to play too. His big brother Raymond says he is too little. The boys are using a hard ball, and Raymond says it's too dangerous. Pedro is mad, but he knows Raymond is just looking out for him. Raymond is always looking out for Pedro. Despite his anger, Pedro watches Raymond pitch. He is the greatest pitcher Pedro has ever seen.
Pedro has 3 brothers and 2 sisters. Raymond, the oldest, is the baseball star of the family. Pedro wishes he were tall like Raymond. He wishes he could throw hard like Raymond. He spent hours behind the little shed where they lived, throwing rocks at the mango trees. He tried to hit the ripe ones, just like Raymond taught him. Pedro loved playing baseball. He dreamed that someday he and his brother will play together in the major leagues. At night, they lied awake to a mattress and talked about what they would do when they are millionaires. By the time Raymond is 15, he has pitched against grown men in games around Santo Domingo. Sometimes Pedro walks for miles just to watch him pitch. At 16, Raymond is the youngest player on the Dominican national team. The Los Angeles Dodgers offered him a contract to pay him $5,000, not much by the big league standards, but more money than the Martinez family has ever seen. Raymond used some of the money to buy his little brother Pedro his first baseball glove.
In 1984, when Pedro is 12, Raymond starts training at Campo Las Palmas, the Dodgers Dominican Baseball Academy. A 2-hour bus ride from Maracaibo has every chance he gets. Pedro tags along. Sometimes he even gets to play catch with Raymond on the field before practice. For Pedro, it is like a dream. He can't believe he is on a real baseball field with real professional ball players. He is so proud of his big brother. One day, a coach from the Dodgers watches Pedro pitching to Raymond. The coach tells Pedro that if he works hard, maybe someday the Dodgers will sign him too.
In 1985, days before his 17th birthday, Raymond leaves for the first season in America. Pedro is so happy for Raymond, but it breaks his heart to see him go. Now that Raymond is gone, Pedro is more determined than ever to make the major leagues. Every day he practices and practices. For Raymond, adjusts to life in America is not easy. When the team stops to eat at a restaurant, he doesn't know what to order because all of the menus are in English. He can't talk to anyone. Raymond tells Pedro all about it. He wants to make sure that when it's Pedro's turn, his little brother is ready.
Pedro keeps practicing. He starts studying English every day. In 1988, when he is 16, Pedro is back at Campo Las Palmas. He is ready to try out for the Dodgers. Dozens of other boys are trying out too. Most of them are much bigger and stronger than Pedro. He works hard and does his best, but the Dodger scouts aren't sure. He is still so much smaller than Raymond. They worry that he just isn't big enough to make it in professional baseball. Finally, after a 30-day tryout, the Dodgers decide to give Pedro a chance. They pay him $16,500. He gives all the money to Raymond.
In 1990, the Dodgers assigned Pedro to their minor league team in Great Falls, Montana. Pedro says goodbye to his family and leaves for America.
By now, Raymond is a star in big leagues. The ace of the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1990, he wins 20 games and is the runner-up for the National League Cy Young Award. Some of Pedro's teammates in the minors think Pedro is only there because he is the great Raymond Martinez's little brother. Pedro works hard to prove that he belongs. He keeps working on his English too. During long bus rides, he stares out the window and tries to read every road sign. He learns new words every day. Before long, he can do post-game interviews in English without an interpreter. Pedro races his way up through the Dodgers minor league system. Then, in September 1992, his dream comes true. For the first time in his life, Pedro gets to play on the same team as his big brother. Pedro and Raymond are in the major leagues together. Pedro is so small and skinny that when he arrives at the Dodger Stadium, the security guard doesn't believe he is actually on the team. "Hey, who are you?" he asks. Pedro smiles. "I'm the Bat Boy," he says. The security guard isn't the only one who thinks Pedro is too small. The Dodgers manager, Tommy Lasorda, doesn't think Pedro is big enough too. To make it as a starting pitcher, so Pedro pitches out of the bullpen and quickly becomes one of the best relievers in the league.
After the 1993 season, Pedro gets a call from the general manager of the Dodgers. He can't believe the news. He had been traded to the Montreal Expos. At first, Pedro is devastated. He didn't want to leave Raymond and move to a new city where he doesn't know anybody. He worked so hard to learn English, but more people in Montreal speak French. Raymond calms Pedro down and tells his little brother that maybe this could be good for him. The Dodgers were never going to let him be a starting pitcher. Maybe Montreal will give him a chance. It turns out that Raymond is right. Pedro goes to Montreal in 1994 and immediately joins the starting rotation. Every time he takes the mound, he remembers everyone who doubted him. With every pitch, he tried to prove them wrong. Whenever the Expos play the Dodgers and Raymond pitches against Pedro's new team, Pedro can't help but cheer for his big brother. When his teammates ask him to knock it off, Pedro sneaks down to the clubhouse and watches Raymond on TV. On August 29, 1996, Pedro and Raymond are scheduled to pitch against each other. Pedro does not want to do it. He never wants to root against Raymond. Raymond explains to Pedro that it's just something they've got to do. Pedro and Raymond both pitch well, as Raymond takes the mound in the 9th inning with the Dodgers leading 2-1.
he sees Pedro in the exposed dugout. Pedro smiles, relieved that he is almost over, and happy to lose to his big brother.
In 1997, Pedro is the best pitcher in the National Leagues ever, even better than Raymond. He can throw a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, a curveball that makes hitters' knees buckle, and a changeup that is almost impossible to hit. Pedro is a superstar now. The Expos knows that they can't afford to pay him. So a week after he wins the 1997 National League Cy Young Award, they trade him to the Boston Red Sox. In December, Pedro flies to Boston and signs a 6-year, $75 million contract with the Red Sox, making him the highest paid baseball player of all time.
In the summer of 1998, on days when Pedro pitches, the streets of Boston buzz with anticipation. By the game time, Fenway Park is packed. Fans wave Dominican flags and chant his name, Pedro, Pedro, Pedro. But 1998 is not a good year for Raymond. Pitching for the Dodgers on June 14th, he tears a muscle in his shoulder. The team doctor tells him he needs surgery. Raymond worries that he might never pitch again. Pedro tells his big brother not to give up. After his operation on June 30th, Raymond spends the rest of the season working to rebuild the strengths in his injured shoulder and watching his little brother on television. On days when it's not his turn to pitch, Pedro never stops talking and dancing and laughing and joking with his teammates. One night, to get him to settle down, his teammates taped him to a pole in the dugout. Pedro loves every minute of it. But when it is his turn to pitch, Pedro is very serious. All day, he is quiet and focused. When he takes the mound, he imagines he is a lion fighting for his food.
In 1999, Pedro had one of the greatest seasons any pitcher had ever had. He won 15 games before the All-Star break. He's the starting pitcher in the All-Star game and dazzles the home crowd in Fenway Park by striking out by 5 of the 6 battles he faced. Meanwhile, Raymond is working hard to get back on the field. Late in the 1999 season, he makes it all the way back to the major leagues. He joins Pedro on the Red Sox. During games, they sit together in the dugout. They coached each other and helped each other with his big brother by his side. Pedro is better than ever.
On October 9th, 1999, with the Red Sox facing elimination from the playoffs, Raymond leads the team to victory over the Cleveland Indians to keep Boston's season alive. 2 days later, in the final game of the series, Pedro's right shoulder is so sore he isn't supposed to pitch. But with the score tied 8-8 in the 4th inning, he enters the game. Even though he can't lift his arm up high enough to throw a good fastball, he pitches 6 no-hit innings to send the Red Sox to the American League Championship Series.
Back in the Dominican Republic, people danced on the streets, kids tied straps of metal to their bikes and ride through the darkness. Sparks light up the night like fireworks.
After the season, Pedro celebrates with his family. The little shack is now gone. Pedro and Raymond bought all the land around it and built this special place where the whole family can come together. They call it La Finca, the little farm.
After dinner, Pedro and Raymond walk out back to throw rocks at the mango tree. Together they hit one mango after another. Pedro hits only the ripe ones, just like Raymond taught him.